Well, greetings and welcome to the Dividing Line. My name is James White, coming to you from our mobile command center in my last stop on the trip home. I get home tomorrow, Lord willing. It's not a super long leg tomorrow. I could have pushed through tonight, but it's always just a matter of safety. And everybody else that was at the debates and stuff, they've all been home and are shocked that I'm not there. But remember, I went farther east, good bit farther east after the debate series, and so we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second. Two things. First, the shooting in Canada is really troubling because Western society is now so crippled, so decrepit, so without moral foundation that you can't even recognize that transgenderism is a fundamental denial of reality, and that to be involved with it indicates a person who is truly a danger to themselves and everybody around them. The number of transgender shooters now is higher than any other group over the past number of years. And these people are not just sick. Maybe some of them are, but most of them are just simply in open rebellion against everything around them. And if they'll rebel against how God has made them, they will rebel against man's laws as well. They will lash out when people look. Once you do the transition thing, you discover you can't. It's mythology. It's impossible. It's a lie. And once you come to that conclusion, you become very angry and you lash out at others. There seems to be a propensity to kill children. Probably because that's when your rebellion started. This guy was 12 when he decided to engage in this kind of rebellion, and that's what it is. And if you go, well, that's too young. One was bar mitzvah. One was a person considered a son of the law, son of the covenant, 13. So, yeah, don't give me that either. So this is going to happen more often. And right now, this society, whether it's Canada, the United States, Europe, cannot deal with this because we have no moral foundations left. And what I'm saying right now would get me brought up on charges, possibly imprisoned, certainly fined, certainly financially destroyed in Brazil, in many European countries, especially Scandinavian countries. And I believe, if I recall correctly, it was just a couple days ago that the European Union passed some new draconian insanity on the subject of transgenderism as well. Genders are fixed. You cannot trans anything. It's a lie. It's rebellion. It's moral insanity. And a society that cannot say that is a society that will not survive. Not for long. It may run on old moral capital for a while, but that's what we're looking at. That's the situation that we see. So it shouldn't surprise us what happened up there, and it's going to happen again. And the amazing thing is, people will sit around going, it's the white, heterosexual, cisgendered people's fault for not just fawning all over this guy with his beard and a dress. Given over. Absolutely given over. And don't give me, but you're a post-millennialist. You don't understand it. If you say that, just stop it. You're embarrassing yourself. Just stop. Okay. Next thing. I wake up this morning and I start getting some texts about the biblical Unitarians, okay? They're a small group. They're a very small group. They pretty much all know each other. And I think the vast majority of them showed up in Dallas for the debate a week ago tomorrow. Yeah, a week ago tomorrow. So it hasn't even been a week yet. And lo and behold, they are tooting their horn. So Dr. Smith posted a tweet, evidently this morning, under the Biblical Unitarian podcast. On Friday, February 6, 2026, I defeated James White in a public moderated debate concerning whether the Bible teaches the Trinity. In this week's episode, Dr. Dale Tuggy joins me to discuss the 6 reasons why I emerged as the winner of this debate on the Trinity. And I'm surprised him only 6. Why? Well, first of all, getting Dr. Tuggy on, whom I've debated twice, and I'm sure they probably proclaimed him the victor of all those too, is really fair. I mean, we're talking about really examining these things carefully. And the funny thing is, here is a picture. Yeah, let me see if I can do this. I think I can. There we go. And yeah, here's one of the final images that Dr. Smith displayed during his closing statement during the debate. Now, the debate, I've been told, will be premiered on Monday. So we've still got a ways to go. I got skipped over because other people asked that theirs come out sooner, I guess, and I didn't. So there you go. So there were actually 10 screens of this scorecard, this scoreboard, that he put up during his closing statement. Now, I pointed out on X that, I find this unprofessional. I found it unprofessional during the debate. Amazingly, Tuggy and some of the others tried to say, well, he could have done that during the debate. Because my point was, it's very obvious to me that he had this put together before he walked into that room. So he had decided that he was the victor when he put his presentation together. Because this is 10 different slides, because each thing had a different question at the top. And the Unitarians literally tried to, well, he could have done that during the debate. No, he couldn't have. And if he wasn't listening to anything I was saying, which makes it even worse. So this was, and I'm going to, Dr. Smith, honestly, did you have these slides put together before the debate, yes or no? I know what the answer to that's going to be. Even if somehow he did it, it's extremely childish. Again, I struggle with people who, instead of summarizing the debates, going with the flow, helping people to understand, I struggle with people who have closing statement graphics, rebuttal graphics, cross-ex graphics, all that kind of stuff. It's one thing for your opening statement, but after that, I think it's just cheesy. Really, really cheesy. And as you'll see on Monday, when the debate is live streamed, and I guess the term is premiered, not live streamed, premiered, I walked up and did my closing statement with nothing in my hand. I didn't bring anything to the podium. I didn't have any notes. I just stood up and summarized what the issues were, pointed out where my opponent had failed in his argumentation. Probably made reference to a couple of the cross-examination questions where I really felt that he face-planted badly. And by the way, like I said, over here, there was a little group of Unitarians. The vast majority of the people in that audience knew what had just happened. I stood and greeted people, signed books, answered questions for an hour and a half after the debate. And nobody came up to me at all with any questions about what he said. Everybody was like, wow, that was good. I mean, wow, I hope he can recover from that type of thing. So the people in the audience didn't have any question about what took place. And I don't think anybody else will either. But I haven't come online. I haven't been posting stuff. And this is called spin. And generally, this kind of spin is damage control. So I think what's going on here, to be perfectly honest with you, is they know that this did not go well for them. Dale Tuggy is their big philosophy history guy, and Dr. Smith is their Bible guy. And I've debated all of them. And, you know, if you're a Unitarian, you can believe what you want to believe. All right? I'll put those debates out there for anybody to analyze and to consider and to think about. But I don't have to spin them. I don't have to do webcasts about them. I can put them out there, and I guess part of it's being reformed. I can trust the Lord with the results. If you do your work beforehand, I mean, you know, the debate last year with Dr. Tuggy on John chapter 1 was very clear. Only one side exegeted the text. Only one side gave a consistent presentation. And in the debate a week ago tomorrow, my presentation was not a shotgun approach. It wasn't a scattergun approach. It wasn't a gish gallop, as they call it. I don't like that term, but where you just throw dozens and dozens and dozens of texts out. You don't really explain them. You just make assertions about them. That's what he did. That's what Dr. Smith did. The very thing I chose not to do. Now they're saying, well, that means you didn't engage the debate. No, I did. I engaged the debate very clearly. And I said to the audience, what you're going to hear, here's what you do. Which side is consistent in the exegetical methodologies that they use on the places where we agree? Messiahship of Jesus, virgin birth, resurrection of Jesus. How do you prove those things? What hermeneutical method, exegetical standards do you use to prove those three subjects that we agree on? And then, who remains consistent in looking at the key texts about the deity of Christ and hence the doctrine of the Trinity? So I laid out the three foundations. I point out where our primary focus is in the equality of the persons. And cross-examination really showed, you know, when Dr. Smith tried to hide from the fact, quite literally, that 1 Corinthians chapter 8, all of it is Paul reworking the Shema in light of the revelation of God in Jesus Christ. And tried to say, oh no, the first part of the verse, that's the Shema, but the last part of the verse, that's actually Psalm 110, and it goes someplace. It was so arbitrary. It was very clear to everybody. I could hear people in the audience, not the Unitarians. They got quiet. But I could hear people in the audience sort of whispering to each other, wow, hasn't he ever thought about that before, type of a thing. So I presented that argument. I did my closing statement. The Q&A was Q&A, you know. I wish the closing statements would be the end of a debate, personally. I don't like when you have a bunch of audience questions afterwards. Though, in this case, he got the last question, which means I got the last response. No. I got the last question. What they did is it was sent to somebody else. So if the person got it, they got to say something. The opponent got to say something, and then the person who was originally answered got like 30 seconds. So I had answered. He then gave rebuttal. And in my 30 seconds, it was sort of a mic drop moment. And that's how the debate ended. I didn't even realize we were out of time. But it sort of ended with a mic drop moment on my side. And that's what a lot of people remembered. I think they know this. I think the Unitarians are aware of this. And so they are doing major damage control. They're trying to spin before the debate is even out. So you're trying to control the narrative ahead of time. I'm not trying to do that. The only reason I'm talking about this right now, I would have given you a bland, it was very enjoyable, look forward to when it's going to be premiered. I might have told you, look for this type of topic or that type of topic, but I'm not doing entire webcasts or anything else to try to control the narrative. I don't need to. I don't need to. It speaks for itself. That's the wonderful confidence. You speak the truth and you don't have to do the spin. So it's it's weird to see this, to have people, I won the debate and you haven't seen it yet, but we're going to tell you why I won it beforehand. And he does the same thing in the closing statement, with this scorecard thing. I find it unprofessional. It's not respectful to me, but okay. It's not respectful to the audience to do that kind of thing. And quite honestly, it's childish. So would I debate him again? Sure. We should debate specific texts. We should really dive into, Paul's and Peter's uses of the Granville-Sharp construction, because contextually, there really isn't any question about them. We should dive into 1 Corinthians chapter 8. I'd love to see him explain how in the middle of a verse, despite the fact that the words being used by Paul are derived directly from the Septuagint translation of Deuteronomy 6:4, all of a sudden the context changes. That's what I told the audience. Watch for that. And they saw it. And you'll see it on Monday, Lord willing. So yeah, it's interesting to see that kind of stuff. All right, let's see. Where are we going here in the time that we have left? I don't even know. 20 minutes in. Okay. All right. Then after I commented about that, I saw someone mention that, well, here's what happened. Man, I forgot to grab a drink. That's not wise. It may get so bad here in a second, I have to walk over there and grab grab a bottle of water or something. It's not like I have that far to go. But, it's real life, and I'm getting dry here for some reason. Anyway, on the last program that I did from here, so again, for those of you that may not know a lot about the program, I am in our 40-foot fifth wheel on my way home. This is how I travel now. And by the way, let me just mention this. For those who don't know, talking to people at the debate, again, was extremely encouraging. Talked to some very encouraging people at the church I spoke at. Talked to encouraging people at the dialogue with Yasser Qadi. There were many times over the past 2 weeks where, again, and this would happen when we'd go to G3. This would happen. This happens a lot now that I get to be out in smaller churches and meet people. And this way of traveling allows that. Many people, I'm trying to remember all the different groups that were mentioned that people had come out of to faith in Christ through this ministry. And when Mormonism specifically was being referred to, through me and Jeff Durbin. So Apologia. So Roman Catholicism, atheism, Islam, oneness Pentecostalism. That was an interesting one. Jehovah's Witnesses. And that was all just on this one trip. And to get to shake people's hands and sometimes to see the tears in their eyes and tears in mine That's worth this long trip home for me. It really is. And so, we did a fundraiser to pay to buy for this thing, buy this thing a couple years ago. And we let people know the Dividing Line is not a subscription program. It's not behind a paywall. You don't have to be a Patreon member or a this member or that member and then wait for 3 days before the episode drops to YouTube or something like that. I know plenty of good, solid people who do that, and I know plenty of non-solid people who do that too. I'm not criticizing how other people raise funds. I've explained over the years that because we do apologetics, I think there's a stricter standard that we simply have to follow, not because there's anything biblically demanded of us, but we need to be able to say what we need to say when we need to say it, basically. It's also one of the reasons we don't do as much networking as a lot of people do. So you can say what you need to say when you need to say it. And people have come to trust us to do that. They may disagree, but they at least know what they're going to get. So last week, so when we have a financial need, we just let people know. And, this unit became available to us. I would still love to drive its wheels off. The truck, by the way, has been perfect on this trip. I mean, wow. Just so thankful for that, and just awesome. And the unit had been too. I mean, the unit's very well insulated. It's got double pane windows. And so in the cold, it did great. All that stuff. I started noticing something. It was little things. And then they become bigger things when you start putting them together. And to not go into a lot of detail, we're very concerned we have a frame issue with this unit. Now, we put these things through a lot. I mean, we're talking 40,000 miles a year, and most fifth wheels, they're just not designed to do that. Most people use these things, they take them on summer vacation, they may take them to go see the grandkids, and maybe they live in them full time. That means they're not going anywhere. The slides stay out, the thing's not shaking. I had to drive through New Mexico today, and it's little minor earthquakes all over the place. Not even minor earthquakes, sometimes really big earthquakes. And so this is our third fifth wheel. The first one did fine, but it was small, not well designed. We went to the second one. It turned out to be a COVID coach. It had a frame issue. And then we managed to snag this. And it was made before COVID. It's beautiful. It's big. I figured we'd pull it till the wheels fell off. But now there seems to be a frame issue. Stuff's moving that shouldn't be moving. Let's just put it that way. So we may need to look at trading, buying something to be able to continue doing what I'm doing. And a lot of people say, just fly, forget it. I don't get to do a lot of the stuff that I just talked to you about when I fly. It would take a lot of money to get me back to the status that I had before to make that worthwhile. I'd frequently end up getting sick when I would fly. You're exposed to a lot of stuff in those little sealed tubes. And I, at my age, just don't want to lose the opportunity to be in churches that could never afford to fly me out. And so we may be coming to you over the next few weeks. We have plans within plans to try to make this work and to get everything going properly. All of that to say, that's how we've raised money. Everybody knows we're a nonprofit organization. we get everything on donations. Our YouTube channel is not monetized. I initially monetized mine when it first came out, long time ago. I think I was even before Alpha Omega had a YouTube channel. But we dumped it. And we dumped it because it seemed pretty obvious that if you monetize, YouTube is going to be examining you much more closely. They're going to have more say over what you can say. And so the YouTube channel isn't monetized. We don't have paywalls. There's no subscription for the dividing line. People are either going to keep us going by donating to us, or we close up shop and go home. I'm not monetized on X. Can you imagine how much money I could make on X? I haven't looked, but I'm somewhere. Where am I? Let me see here. Over 175,000 followers. And so if I understand it correctly, when you have all those followers, interactions, responses, clicks, everything earns you money. And there are people making a semi-decent living as influencers and stuff like that. Not going to do it. I think it fundamentally shallows out motivation and the quality of interaction and stuff like that. Just not going to do it. If you do, hey, it's between you and the Lord. I'm just not going to do it. Again, what we do, I need to be able to say what I need to say when I need to say it. And if I'm worrying about clicks and likes and stuff like that, just not smart enough to do it. Anyway, so what happened, so just letting you know ahead of time, the travel fund is open and ready for business. If you go to the donate thing, there's a thing for the travel fund. And if you like that we do this, then, we'll just let you know. I mean, we may get back and it's no big deal. Personally, once you start seeing separations between walls and roofs, I think it's probably a big deal. But anyway, we'll see. Maybe it's reparable. I don't know. Anyhow, so what happened is, I'm taking too much time here. I made a comment. Joel Webben had fired back at Doug Wilson. Missed wildly. Joel does not understand the concept of punching above your weight. He takes people on that, Joel has no expertise in anything at all. He has no training. He has no scholarship. He has no background. He's got nada. And he surrounds himself with people who also have nada when it comes to experience, accomplishment, anything like that. So he's going after Doug, and he swings and misses. But then in the process, he says something along the lines of, and for all you former Canon Press subscribers, go sign up at NXR. That's his big new pop-up thing that, the new Christian right, which is not new and it's not Christian, but, and it won't stay right forever. Somebody always moves farther to that other side. Anyway, so I made a comment about it, about how he said to all the former subscribers and stuff like that. Well, somebody popped that out there, and people started taking shots. Eric Kahn, of course, who takes shots at everything. I think he just lives online to take shots at people. Made comments about, you all raise money and you all do this. Look, if you can't tell the difference between a ministry that's been around for almost 43 years, that simply lets people know this is what we're doing, this is what we've been doing for over 4 decades, and this is what we're going to continue doing. And if you like what we're doing, then you can help support us. But we're not going to limit your ability to watch our material when we do programs on topics, debates, whatever else it might be. And we're not going to raise money by, getting clicks and likes and all that kind of stuff, because that can impact the quality of what we're saying. If you can't tell the difference between that and what you're seeing right now with Nick Fuentes, and by the way, there are people asking questions. Was Nick Fuentes paid to do that interview with Joel Webben? And how much was he paid? I don't know about you. I'd be interested in knowing. I'd be really interested in knowing. Because obviously, Joel's popped into some support, some business support out there. So I'd be interested in knowing. That'd be interesting. But anyway, if you can't tell the difference between those, I can't help you. And it seems the Christless nationalists have lost all discernment. They can't tell the difference either. It's sort of sad to watch. But yeah, there you go. All right, let's see here. All right. So, hold on a second here. I'm not sure what that is. Oh, okay. Thank you. In the AO think tank, our intrepid vice president, who I don't say enough about how much I appreciate, the guys in that think tank. I can throw stuff in there, and they're throwing stuff back at me when I need it, especially when I'm on the road really fast. But especially Chris. Chris, you are deeply appreciated. You really, really are. You do a great job, and we're so thankful to have you. I'm not sure too many people on X realize the connection there, that you're our vice president. I think you might get some more subscribers if you talked about it more, but you'd also get a whole lot more hatred. You get a lot more AI-generated videos insulting you, too. You really would. But he sent me a little thing here, and I'm not sure who Fatarecci is. I can't tell. But it says, catching up, but I listened to the discussion between Tuggy and Smith. Oh, okay, so somebody actually listened to their thing. He admitted he made the slides beforehand. I thought the discussion was respectful, though. Oh, okay. Interesting. So that part of the issue has been settled. The scoreboard had been made. I don't know why Dale Tuggy tried to say it could have been made otherwise, but during the debate. But yeah, so my point stands. I find that unprofessional. It's disrespectful to the audience. It's disrespectful to the person you're debating. I think it's disrespectful to the topic. That you are, what it means is you're not going to be listening to what the other guy's saying. That's why I would never, ever, there are two people I would never dream of debating again. And that's Leighton Flowers and Jimmy Akin. Because the way Jimmy Akin behaved in Livingston, he doesn't debate. He shows up to make a presentation disrespectfully, and has no interest in actually interacting with the person that he's supposed to be debating. That's not a debate. It's just disrespect. So, yeah, there you go. There's confirmation that that was in fact done beforehand, and I knew it was. I could tell it was. There was no way they're putting together 10 slides while I'm doing a 5-minute closing statement. Ain't happening. So back to what we're talking about here. While I was gone, a Roman Catholic, seems to be a fairly nice guy, called Catholic Maximus. He actually has Johann Eck in his ID. And if you know who Johann Eck was, he was, Johann Eck was so anti-Jewish that he makes Martin Luther look weak on the subject. If you know Martin Luther's latter days, that's pretty amazing. Eck wrote one of the worst, horrific screeds against the Jews. massive tome that was just vile, is the only way to describe it. And so it's interesting that someone who seems to be nice asked that, or has that in his thing. But he had sent me a, where'd it go? And I had seen it, and I had made a note to respond to it. He had dug up, well, where'd it go? It's under mentions. All right, let's see if I can follow it in the thread. That's the problem. Oh, look at that. There's a the bad trad Christopher Barca. Oh, he's lying about me too. There's some lies right there. That's nice. I'll get him. Oh, wait a minute. Doop and remove this follower. Where'd it go? Oh, who cares? Block. Boop. Goodbye. So here's a. He asked me in one of your debates, a questioner asked the following, to which you replied, "No, it's through his demons." I wanted to see what you meant, because if Satan, a single fallen creature described as a prowling lion by St. Peter, can tempt billions around the globe at once, then why would it be impossible for Mary, united to Christ and perfected in glory, to intercede for the prayers of billions simultaneously through the same divine power? So this was from my debate with Patrick Madrid, which was 2001 maybe? Actually, the audience question lighting was so bad, I thought it might have been, well, the earlier 1996, 97. Anyways, so it's a long ways back. And we have been asked to be concise. So I gave a very concise answer when this guy asked the same question. He basically asked the same question. And the whole thing was, well, why can't Mary hear billions of prayers if Satan can tempt billions of people simultaneously? And I just pointed out that we're not being tempted by Satan himself. We're being tempted by demons. If there's even any demonic activity being involved, the fallen nature is more than capable of doing temptation without supernatural inclination being provided by a particular demon. So I don't believe anytime you feel a temptation, it's because of that. You're fallen. It could be. There can be instances of that. But it doesn't have to be. I mean, if you're in a pattern of sin, that pattern of sin doesn't need to be exacerbated over and over again. It's already there. Anyway, so he seems to be asking the same question. The primary reason, look, if you want to come up with the idea that Mary is supernaturally given a supernatural capacity by God to become a demigod, to have supernatural knowledge as a resurrected, glorified believer. Now, if you want to come up with a reason for that, I can't stop you, but it's plainly obvious to me that's not apostolic teaching. It's nowhere in the Bible. You try to come up with verses. I was listening to an Orthodox guy trying to come up with verses about the intercession of the Theotokos, Mary. None of the texts that he used and none of the exegetical methodology he used is what we would use to prove monotheism, the deity of Christ, the resurrection, basically anything, scriptural revelation, creation, nothing. It was all allegory and simile, and it was painful to listen to. Really was. It's horrible. So you can try to talk about the martyrs in Revelation in an apocalyptic book and try to say, and that means they know this, and that means they know that, and that means everybody in heaven does this. It's baloney. Okay? Again, This is why, I remember back during the great debates on Long Island, this little group of Roman Catholic ladies would come to all my debates, even when they weren't on Roman Catholicism. And well, we just love when you debate and defend the deity of Christ. You know why? Because Catholics don't argue the way I do. I actually make it clear from Scripture, and not from canons and decrees or allegories or all the other kind of wacky interpretational stuff. It's another reason why I'm looking at the Thomistic ressourcement, and we need pre-modern exegesis, rah, 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 rah. And I go, have you people read any of that stuff? If you ain't taking it in debate, that's for sure. And you wouldn't be able to. Nobody'd understand a word you were saying, and it wouldn't make a lick of sense. So yeah, I wouldn't necessarily go there. So anyway, the primary reason not to believe that Mary hears billions of prayers is because there isn't a scintilla of meaningful evidence that the apostles ever taught that she did. And in fact, it is utterly contradictory to what it means for a believer to enter into the presence of his Lord or her Lord. The amount of sin and despair and rebellion that Mary would have to be exposed to after her death, that's not peace. That is abuse. There is nothing in Scripture that even begins to hint that we need anything like that, should desire anything like that. This idea that all grace that accrues to mankind comes from God through Mary as the neck that turns the head of God's grace, blasphemy. It's utter absurdity. And if you really think that you can take an allegory from an apocryphal book and connect it to a phrase over here, and this is sufficient basis to come up with something like this, you can believe anything. Whatever your ultimate religious authority, you'll believe anything. And you'll call it apostolic. Oh yeah, that's what the apostles taught. Why? Because my ultimate religious authority told me that's what the apostles taught. And so I don't need anything more. And then but there's this early prayer to Mary is Theotokos, and it's actually from the 6th century. Give it a break. We'll have to do a whole program on that one sometime. But there's something scribbled on a wall that might be Mary, and it's the desperation is so sad. It's like, have you guys ever tried to defend the real central doctrines of the faith with this kind of argumentation against, real polytheists like the Mormons or real Unitarians? You'll get torn to shreds. And that's why you generally don't see them doing that. So anyway, to Catholic Maximus, it says something along the lines of, how do you reconcile that difference in your theology? There's no difference in my theology. I'm not sure why you didn't understand what I was saying. But we're not tempted by Satan himself. I suppose some people might be. But he's not omnipresent. He's not omniscient. There are demons. I don't think you're claiming any of that for Mary. It still raises the question, where in the world do you get the idea that Mary has been given this position? There's nothing in Scripture that even suggests it. The woman of Revelation 12 is Israel, the church, depending on, even the early church agreed with that. The Marian interpretation comes much later. There's so many places in the text of the New Testament that you guys just don't spend much time with. At least not in its original context. You place it into a ecclesiastical context that developed many centuries later. But there's no place in the New Testament. Well, I'm sorry, there are many places in the New Testament where Marian intercession would be central. It would have to be mentioned. It never is. It's not there. You're twisting the Scriptures to insert it. It's called eisegesis. And here's the problem you have. Once the Spirit of God moves in somebody's heart, they'll see these things. That's why when I see converts to Romanism, people are like, oh, well, I wonder why. I'm like, hey, Romanism appeals to the flesh. And so if you have people who were false converts, Rome appeals to the flesh. It appeals to the ego. I'm in charge. I'm in control. That kind of thing. It's my free will. Same thing with Pelagianism and provisionism and everything else. So I understand why people go there. And that's why I don't become discouraged. Because I know when the Spirit of God moves, the Spirit of God's going to move. Going to accomplish things to his honor and glory. If he uses us in that process, great, fine, wonderful. Otherwise, you just serve and you move on. That's how it works. That's how it works. So, yeah. Somebody, I have no idea who this is. Let's see. This is Common Sense PhD. Oh. I'm a sarcastic Christian libertarian, hate religion, love Jesus. MAGA. Okay. He wrote to me, P.S. Check out Michael Heiser. He misspelled it. Heisner. It's not Heisner. It's Heiser. Unseen Realm, Psalm 82. It's hard to argue with biblically. And I just simply responded with, no, it's not hard to argue against it biblically. I have for 20 years and provide the link to the article that I had written, I think, in 2006 on Psalm 82 and Michael Heiser's, I think, abuse of Psalm 82. And haven't seen a response to that yet, but that's all right. Okay. Well, this is interesting. If you don't mind my being live on the air and following this. Interesting. Okay. We have a debate coming up. It's already been announced. Have we put it on the website? I haven't looked to see if it's on the website yet. Beginning of April. It's not in front of me, so sorry. But I'm going to be debating Jacob Hansen, who is sort of an LDS apologist. I mean, this is... I listened to a presentation by Aaron Shavafalov. I think I got that right that time. Shavafalov. I normally say Shavafalov because it's he has to spell it. It probably ruined his childhood, but anyway. Aaron is super sharp. Okay? Can I brag on him? I mean, he's super sharp. He's enduring. In other words, he's been at this a long time already. He's already proven his love for the LDS people up there in Utah. Does great work. See, I want to encourage the next generation that's actually doing what the next generation needs to be done. People are telling me, oh, you're so mean to young people. I'm mean to immature guys who've done nothing but think they need to be handed everything on a plate. Yes, that's true. I'm not overly nice to those folks. But when I see young guys that are doing it right, I mean, I pray for them that they'll remain faithful. But when I see Eli Ayala, did you see his debate with Dan Barker? It was wonderful. I mean, Barker's hard to debate because he's just old and crusty now. But he just loves to make assertions without ever proving what he's saying. His stuff about El Elyon, for example, he stole that from the Mormons. I mean, that was stuff I was dealing with. The Deuteronomy 32 passage. Somebody asked me about this in a text message. I don't know who it was. Sorry, whoever you are, if you're listening. I'll stumble across it eventually, and I'll be able to respond to you eventually, I guess. Let me see here. Maybe. Oh, okay. I know who it was. Okay, I just found it. I thought about it. Simon, I'll get to you. Hold on. The El Elyon stuff, he threw that out at Eli and stuff like that. Eli did a great job with that debate. I was so proud of him. It was so great to be there. It's the only debate I got to see. That was the one before mine. And that one's already been streamed. I'm looking forward to Friday, Jeremiah Nortier's debate with Leighton Flowers will premiere. I don't know that I'm going to watch that live, but I'll at least be able to download it afterwards and listen to it while riding or something. But Eli, Aaron, Jeremiah, this is the next generation. And since they're actually doing the work, they'll tell you, I greatly encourage them. I tell people to support them. I've gone to Jeremiah's church. I've spoken at conferences with Eli. We did one this last year. And I'm telling you, Aaron's worthy of your support as well. So yeah, I want to encourage the next generation, but I want to encourage them who are actually doing work, not who are just pursuing clicks and chasing after every current trend like certain people are. So anyway, Aaron knows a lot about Hansen, and he did a great presentation on the new Mormonism for a few of us from Apologia, back around Easter time. No, Christmas time. Sorry, not Easter's not here yet. And it was very, very well done. But I had to keep interrupting him as he was talking about Blake Ostler and a lot of these guys. And I'd keep stopping him and going, well, if this is the new Mormonism, the only thing I can say is that ain't Mormonism. I mean, unless the thousands of Mormons that I talked to in the 1980s, the 1990s, the early 2000s, evidently they weren't Mormons either. Mormonism is fracturing. Its foundation has always been incredibly incoherent, held together by money and authority, basically. And so I don't know what the future is going to hold, but listening to Aaron talk about this, I can see the whole thing just flying apart. It has a lot of momentum because of all its money, but I've said for a long time, you get a real charismatic leader come along, he could pull a third of that religion off after him. Really could. So anyways, a guy named Darren commented on what I said about Dr. Smith and Unitarians. And he said, you think this is bad? Wait until the Jacob Hansen debate. He will cut and paste every little detail he thinks make him look good and you bad. I was surprised to hear you were going to debate considering his behavior with Joe Heschmeyer went and his past performances. Well, I'll be honest with you. I didn't see it. My friends in Utah contacted me, and I initially said no. And why? Because I have Eastern Orthodoxy on my mind, and I have projects to be working on in that area. And so I'm like, no. But then I looked at the list of suggested topics. And once I saw the God of Calvinism is morally reprehensible, and I thought of how morally reprehensible the God of Mormonism actually is, any exalted man from another planet. Now, Hansen may go, oh, I don't have to believe that anymore. I don't know. We'll find out, I guess. I decided, okay, I'm going to be up there. It's not going to require a massive amount of time. But now that you've mentioned this, Darren, I'll have to throw Joe Heschmeyer and Jacob Hansen into search engine and grab something and maybe take a listen at 1.5 or something like that, and be prepared. But look, it's not my first rodeo with somebody saying that the God of the Bible is morally reprehensible. So defending God's utter sovereignty, transcendence, I know he denies those things. It'll make for a pretty strong contrast between a biblically grounded doctrine of God and something that just has no grounding at all. But I do appreciate the information. And that's one of the reasons I don't bail out of X. People are always saying X is filled with pornography. I've never seen it. I mean, some people say I'm so tired of porn bots. How'd you run into them? I maybe it's because I have so many people blocked or something. I don't know. I've just never seen it. It's like, okay, if you don't go looking for it, I don't know what you're necessarily going to run into. At least I don't. So there you go. All right. So with that, I was going to let me see here. Oh yeah. By the way, Eli is going to do a Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern. So that's tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow evening. Eli is going to do an in-depth review of his debate with Dan Barker. You can find him at Revealed Apologetics, which is actually at Eli Ayal. Oh, good grief. Eli, you need a better name than that. 174544205. Really? You joined X that late, huh? Anyways, look up Revealed Apologetics. That should pull it up for you. It's on YouTube, and that'll be worth your while as well. So I was going to look at something with Leighton Flowers, but we might as well wait until tomorrow when the Flowers Nortier debate drops, and then maybe next week there'll be some stuff to look at. Jeremiah was telling me about some of the stuff that he had run into in his preparation for the debate, and I don't know if I should take the time to look it up. It sounded fascinating, but I don't know. Maybe I should just go back to Nicaea 2 go from there. Anyway, all right. That's about everything I've got. And since I don't have a bottle of water over here, yeah. And so just pray for us as we're making decisions about the travel stuff. So blessed. The truck that I've got is just such a blessing. I'm so thankful for it. But I've got to trust what I'm pulling. I just have to trust what I'm pulling. And Rich and I have been talking with some of the other board members and stuff. And I'll just tell you one story because you learn a lot. I've learned a lot. I've pulled, 85, getting close to 90,000 miles now. And so I'm pretty good at what I do now. If you've pulled 90,000 miles, you better be able to back the thing into a tight spot, which I can, and avoid semis when they come into your lane and do fun stuff like that, and get it set up properly. But anyway, when we had our second one and its roof kept coming off because it had a bad frame, I came up with a really good question that maybe help some of you someday. This guy, I was in Kerrville, Texas, which is where I was last night. He was coming out to patch the roof. And while he was up there, I don't know what made me ask this question. Well, I do know what made me ask the question. And I said, so in all of your repair work, he'd been doing it for years, what are the names of the units that you see most rarely, that you generally don't get called out to repair? And that was actually a really good question when you think about it. I mean, I was asking him for his recommendation, but from a repairman. So which ones survive the road best? And I think he gave me 3 names. There were only 2 that I remember. One of them I remember because I was parked right next to a Lux, L-U-X-E. They're very fancy looking units. They always have a really snazzy paint job on them. They really do. He says Lux, like the one you're parked next to. And he said Brinkley. And like I said, there may have been a third one. But those stuck. And right now, doing research, asking Grok and stuff like that, and having other people doing the same thing, cross-checking what you're getting, things like that. That guy knew what he was talking about. So when you get AI cooperating with the guy who's out there actually doing the repairs, they're saying the same thing. Yeah, that's probably a good direction to go. So that's what we're thinking about. So pray for us as we make our decisions and look at these types of things, and we'll let you know as things develop. We really will, because you're our supporters. You're the ones that keep this thing going, and we appreciate it very, very much. All right, so with that, I'm going to bring this to an end. If I remember how in the world to do that, it's been a little while, and we'll do that right there. And we will thank you for watching the program. We will see you next time. God bless.